lovely humans. This is Riki from rikilikemagic, and Shibby says hi. Whew. So I am kind of back and I want to talk about where I've been. Okay, so how about we start here? I'm going to talk about practical things that are going to change about this channel because of the stuff that I've been going through the last 9 months. Yeah, that's easier for me. Practically speaking, I am no longer going to have schedule weekly videos coming out. I'm just going to make videos when I want to and when I'm ready to and when inspiration takes me. I will never become a YouTuber. I just love to make videos and I'll make as many as I can when it suits my schedule. I'm a dancer first, so I kind of always want to make that my main thing that I do. Secondly, videos will no longer come out on a Sunday, they will come out on a Monday because Sunday is my day of rest and I don't like being connected to social media on my day of rest, and I'm very connected to social media when I make YouTube videos, so Mondays now is when things will come out. I'm not sure when, morning or evening, I'm not sure when. Yeah, I'm just gonna do what I want from now on and I'll explain why. Now, last year I had some things happen in my personal life, things that I will never say on this channel because they're mine and they belong not online. So instead, I wanted to talk about what happened to me when I freaked out. Yeah, I freaked out. I kind of had a breakdown. I mean, I wouldn't call it a breakdown because I didn't feel like I broke down. It felt like I became extremely, like the word extremely tense all of the time. Before I was living a life based off of patterns, unconscious patterns that I wasn't aware of at all until they suddenly slapped me in the face a couple of times and I had to either curl up into a fetal position or face them. You know the way when people talk about, they kind of laugh through it. They kind of laugh through like, oh, and then I had, my bad times and then we move on. Like, I don't really want to move on. I want to talk practically and really specifically about things that I couldn't do anymore because my anxiety was so high. I was barely functional, I think. So yeah, I want to talk about that today. And I'm ready now to talk about that today. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to reclaim the word triggered for all us lovely humans here on the rikilikemagic channel, because the internet has stolen that word and really diminished it and made it a thing that isn't really a thing anymore because it's so overused. But I was genuinely triggered. Like, the word triggered is the perfect word and we overuse it now, so it doesn't mean as much. You know, when people are like, I'm so triggered by what, they write in a comment, I'm so triggered by this video, or I'm so triggered. If you are actually triggered, you are not able to write that comment because that's what happened to me. Like, I could not breathe, I could not move, I could not think except for like the worst thoughts you could possibly think about yourself. The word triggered is perfect because the trigger makes me think of a gunshot anyway, and it's that feeling of poof, and then you just can't anymore. You just actually can't anymore. So it felt a little bit like a rolling boulder until this moment of triggering. Again, like, I know it's probably going to sound really abstract, but I'm just not going to talk about the events of what happened, but it was just something in my personal life that set this off. Well, like 3 or 4 things that all just kind of bundled in a lovely package for Riki. But yeah, I want to reclaim that word because seriously, it's a brilliant word and it's diminished now, but it was exactly what happened to me. I was triggered into this state of total fear. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about just different things that happened to me in these I'd say 2 or 3 months, I was feeling like this every day. So like different incidences that happened, different things that went on in my head, just so anyone who's watching this who's never experienced something like this can get an idea of what can happen in a person's brain. And also people who have experienced this, that you know that you're not alone. First and foremost, I've known this about myself before, but when it comes to anxiety, my memory got really, really bad. Like really, really bad. I know the way people are like, oh, my memory's so bad, I always forget what I did. Don't even remember what I did an hour ago. But like at that state, it can get so bad that you don't remember what you just did. So memory requires some sort of presence in the moment that it's actually happening for it to become a memory. And I wasn't present. I wasn't even there. So that's very difficult to go about your day because everything is not happening. So my memory got very, very bad. I would literally forget literally what I had just done. An example I have of the memory loss and the not being present, like a really particular story that just stuck with me, was I was trying to shop online on Tesco. I was online on Tesco. I had picked all of my stuff. I was doing the online shopping on Tesco, and I got up, put my shoes on, got a bag, left the house to go to Tesco to go food shopping. Online, I didn't go through checkout, I didn't pay. I just got up and then I went to actual Tesco down the road for me. And it was only halfway walking to Tesco that I went, you were online food shopping already. Why did you get up to go to Tesco? Because you were doing it. But now you're on the way to Tesco to go food shopping. What? Like, I just shut down and then restarted and went, oh, I need to go food shopping. And I just left to go food shopping. I was doing it. I cannot explain to you why. This is what anxiety does to people. You just exit. You leave. You leave. You're not there. And then you just make decisions when you can. So yeah. That's how bad it was. I went shopping twice. And then what was causing that was this, I was just in a constant state of blinding light and white noise. So I was in a very, very heightened state of panic all of the time. And I felt like I couldn't hear properly because my thoughts were so loud. My flight instinct was so loud. Nothing happened to my vision, but I didn't think I wasn't actually seeing what was in front of me. Wasn't hearing properly. Definitely wasn't hearing properly. It felt like there was this happening all of the time. And this is the weirdest thing. This is the thing I'll never forget because I've never ever experienced this before, and this was what I knew I was very bad. Was I did have a problem with leaving the house, but I was able to leave the house, thankfully, because I know a lot of people who go through this stuff really find it difficult to leave the house. But I was like, no, I can do this. But I had to talk myself through it all of the time because I genuinely thought I was going to be punched in the face. And that was new. I've never ever experienced that before. I really thought that when I left my house, anyone was going to punch me in the face. I was going to be hurt by someone, particularly being punched in the face. It wasn't like, it was so weird. It was really specific. And I had to like rationally go, you are not going to be punched in the face. You're just going to teach a dance class, or you're just going to meet this person. And that didn't go away for a very long time. I really had to, like, every time I left the house, I had to talk to myself. Another symptom of my panicked time was I was able to leave the house. I wasn't able to do anything new. I was only able to do things that I'd done before. So I've been teaching for 10 years, so I was still able to teach my classes. But any projects that I wanted to do, there was an absolute no. Absolutely. So I did lose out on work. I sacrificed. I could have had to say no to everything. I'm also extremely blessed that I was able to live off savings, and then I had to borrow money. My mental health is everything to me, so anything that you can do, just don't feel guilty about it. If you're in a wonderful position where you can ask for help or ask for financial help or live off savings, like, don't feel guilty about it. I felt guilty for a while, and I'm a very different person now, and I think it's worth it. I've heard that like the same pain receptors go off in your brain with mental anguish as they do with physical pain, and I really was in a lot of pain all the time. It wasn't like a joint pain, it was more just like inner like organ pain. My digestive system, lads, actually that's one thing that happens to me all the time. I don't know if it happens to anybody else who has anxiety, but my intestines did things just like I was on the toilet far too often because I was so scared all the time. I'm just always so scared all the time, so probably my body was like, evacuate. Yeah, and I was in a lot of pain as well, actually, just like my heart and my breathing and everything hurt a lot, to the point where I thought I was dying sometimes. Great crack. I don't have much of a tendency towards depression. I have a huge tendency towards anxiety, but the anxiety was getting so bad that I started to understand depression a lot more, because my fear was so strong that I just felt like I was starting to shut down, because my body was like, well, you can't feel this all the time. Like, you literally won't survive if you feel this all the time. So we're just going to start shutting down your empathy, shutting down your like connection towards others. And I felt more and more like I was powering down, or my body was like, meow. That got worse and worse. So it kind of felt like I was looking into a lion's mouth all the time. This is really weird, but like I did have these visceral images in my head the whole time, like different images. Felt like I was looking into a lion's mouth. Do you know that lion that comes at the start of those old movies, that there's the golden ring and then it's like, yes, that is my lion impression. I felt like I was staring into an abyss, but I was on the other side of the abyss. That was really important. I was on the other side of it, looking in, getting closer and closer to it. Another image that kept coming into my head was I felt like I was on the edge of a cliff with one leg hanging off, and I was trying to like hop along the edge of the cliff, and I was really close to falling off. And then one day I was so bad that I started to think I wanted to talk to a friend, but then I noticed my thoughts were, no one will want to hear what you have to say, no one will want to listen to what you have to say, no friend is going to want to help you, there's no point in talking to anybody. And so I'm so grateful I meditate, because meditation helps you have like even the tiniest bit of space between you and your thoughts. So I was really I noticed that I was having those thoughts, and I was like, oh, that's really bad. That is definitely on the way to something that you do not want to be a part of. And I remember that day I was in here, but I was on I was kind of going to bed, or I wanted to just curl up into my bed and not talk to anybody forever. And when I noticed those thoughts, I forced myself to call my best friend. Like, I forced myself. I did not want to. And I was like, well, you know that this is the road to depression because you've heard this before. So you're going to call her. And I cried to her, and she was amazing. And she was so happy that I called her, and she was so there. And she couldn't take my pain away, but she was there, and I wasn't alone. And I seriously, I consider that a defining moment, and the reason why I didn't fall off that cliff, or I didn't dive into the lion's mouth, because it was getting pretty bad. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to notice some of the thoughts that I'm having, you know. And there's this clearer part of me that's like, maybe we should be a bit more rational here, even if it's like a tiny voice. You know that's the real voice, rather than all of the voices telling you you're crap and worthless. I'm going to talk about different facets of my breakdown, my triggerment, what do we call this? Because I don't know if it was no, it was very bad. It was a meltdown. I don't know. You call it whatever you like. I don't know what I call it. There's a happy ending. Or like, there was an extremely hard journey the last 9 months, but what happened was I realized that I either am going to live like this for the rest of my life, which I knew wasn't a possibility, or I face these feelings that I've had my whole life, but this was the like Everest or the apocalypse of them. And I decided to face them, and I got myself to therapy. And I have been in therapy for 9 months. I went every week when I started and I went every week for 6 months, over 6 months. Then I went every 2 weeks, and now I'm back to every week again, which isn't that I'm getting worse. It's just that I know I know I want things and I may not be ready for them, so I need the extra support. And the next video that I'm going to make is going to talk about these things that helped me. So I think I'll just leave it with a couple of things that I really, really want to say first off here. Firstly, you have to be ready to meet your pain, and it will get worse before it gets better. Like really worse. Like really, really worse. Like the dying feeling got worse. But at least I had someone who knew what they were doing to take care of me and to guide me like a professional. I just believe that if you get to choose, if you decide to face it, rather than it kind of just like you're pulling an extra limb or an extra whole body of baggage behind you and you're just avoiding it. I think there's a lot more dignity and power in choosing to go, do you know what, we're gonna, it literally feels like slaying dragons, or like villains in a superhero movie. Through this really, really dark time, I have really begun to believe in being your own hero, and it's not glamorous and it's not fun and it's really painful, but you feel this deep sense of freedom the more and more you unpack and clean your wounds and realize that you are definitely worth the life that you have. You're definitely worth everything that you are. You're worth something. Secondly, this isn't even if you're in an apocalyptic hellhole. This is just something that I really, really believe in, like on a daily basis. You wake up with a different 100% every day. That's something I really stand by now. Like if you broke your leg, you would not expect, like as a dancer, I would not expect myself to do the things that I do now in class with a broken leg, because it's physically impossible. And I really think it's the same with mental capacities and mental health. There are days where you can push all of yourself in ways that you just didn't think possible. And then you get, like, it doesn't mean that when you reach that level, you're just going to drop right back down, you know, if you don't do that every day. You know, you wake up with a different 100% of yourself every day. And when you go through hard times like that, be really kind to yourself, forgive yourself, realize like, okay, today it is a total victory if I have a shower, or it's a total victory if I teach one class, because my 100% is not up here where it used to be. It is like way down there, and oh my god, I reached 100% today. How incredible is that? I really want to share that because it's something I really believe in. And finally, to everyone, people who have felt like this, people who haven't felt like this, meet up with friends randomly. Not because you have an agenda, you need to do something work related, or you haven't seen them in ages so you feel guilty and you're going to meet up with them. Like, nurture your relationships. They are as important, probably more important than your work. They're part of your life. Like, they're part of the richness of your life. So after a few months of all of the turmoil, I started being able to talk to some friends from abroad who I know very, very well, but we don't talk a lot anymore. And, you know, when I started telling them that, like, actually I've been having the worst year of my life, and you know, this has been happening, and they actually were like, I wouldn't have guessed, like I had no idea. And because your Instagram stories looked fine and you looked happy, and I mean, this is another thing, I'd have clairvoyant moments. I'd have like half an hour of, oh, I don't feel like scum of the earth, I need to advertise my classes, or I need to, you know, hey, do the, you know, that doesn't equate to being okay. And some of my very close friends had thoughts about writing to me just wanted to say hi, and they didn't, because they were like, oh, she seems to do good, and I see her on Instagram, and that's enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. You need to be with the people that you love. You need to send, I love voice messages because at least you get to hear someone you love and their voice. You need to reach out and make it a part of your routine to hang out with lovely people randomly. Like, that's something that I've brought into my life as well, as I will always meet up with a friend for no reason once or twice a week now. And sometimes I see people every day. I was not able to do that before the fall. I was not able to do that because I was so anxious about other things all the time, and I thought being around people was really tough. But now I'm like, no, being around the right people is amazing, and you need to do that regularly. Like, make it a thing. So I really implore anyone watching this is just write random lovely messages to your people, or meet up with them, or call them, or send them stupid things when you're thinking about them. When you're thinking about them, tell them that you're thinking about them, because that's what keeps the loneliness away. Loneliness was a huge part of my DNA by the time I had broken down. I didn't realize I was building a life of isolation. And it's not okay. We can do better. We can live better lives. We can live happier lives. And those happier lives are not material-based, consumer-based, work-based. In my opinion, they are about knowledge and learning and connection and art and love and kindness. And I don't buy the stress and exhaustion and isolation we put ourselves under. And it happens so incrementally, it happens so gradually, and all of a sudden you're like, I have no one. So that's what happened to me last May. Anyone who's watching this, you are lovely, you are loved, you are worth something. I'm super nervous and blushing, and I'm really happy to be back. I will only make videos when I want to. I'm gonna start talking about dances again, but I really want to continue with this as well. I just think our job is to tell our stories. I think our job is to tell our stories. Tell stories. Tell your story. You know, I don't read statistics or profess to know anything, like studies and facts, but I definitely know my own experience, and that's just what I want to share here. So, if you like this video, you can like, you can subscribe, you can ring the little bell that gives you all the notifications, you can share it with your friends, and you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Only those two. I have minimized my life, and I am a lot happier for it. Remember, you are who you choose to be, and you are part of something bigger and deeper than yourself. And Chippy says bye. See, he's been my buddy. He is the perfect cuddly size, and whenever I need a cuddle, he's been there. So I know he doesn't say much, I know we don't interact much, but I'm always so happy. He's my buddy in my videos.